In the heart of Silverpine Forest, where tall trees whispered secrets and icicles shimmered like stars, lived a small turtle named Toby. Unlike most turtles who preferred the warmth of the sun, Toby loved the cold. He loved how the snow sparkled like sugar, how the air smelled like pine and cinnamon, and most of all, he loved Christmas. But there was one little problem. Toby was very, very slow. And Christmas? It always seemed to move too fast. One chilly morning, as snowflakes danced from the sky, Toby received a letter. It was written in shiny golden ink. You are invited to the Great Forest Christmas Feast at the Pinecone Clearing, December 24th, sunset. Toby's heart skipped a beat. Oh my shell, he gasped. That's tomorrow. He looked at the map. The clearing was on the other side of the forest. For a rabbit, 1 hour. For me, 1 whole day, maybe more. But he didn't panic. He packed a tiny backpack, tied a jingle bell to his walking stick, and began his slow, steady journey. Not far from his burrow, Toby heard soft crying under a snow-covered bush. He peeked in and saw a young hedgehog, shivering. I lost my way home, sniffled the little one, and my paws are too cold to walk. Without thinking, Toby took off his warm scarf and wrapped it around the hedgehog. Climb on my back, he said kindly. I'll take you home. But won't this slow you down? Asked the hedgehog. Toby smiled. Christmas isn't about getting somewhere fast. It's about helping others along the way. After dropping off the hedgehog safely, Toby took a shortcut through the whispering thicket. The snow was deeper there, and tangled roots made it hard to move. Suddenly, thump! Toby slid into a snowdrift and got stuck. He struggled for a while, then heard giggles above him. Need a lift? Slowpoke? Chirped a group of birds from the trees. With gentle teamwork, they lifted Toby out and set him back on his path. Thank you, he said. I may be slow, but I have fast friends, ribbons and written wishes. Toby read one aloud. I wish everyone in the forest would feel loved this Christmas. It was unsigned. Toby thought deeply. Maybe I can help make that wish come true. He tied his own ribbon, which read, I wish to bring joy wherever I go. And he continued, more determined than ever. That night, a snowstorm swept through the forest. Toby found shelter in an old log, but by morning, everything was white and unfamiliar. I've lost the path, he sighed, but then he heard a familiar chirp. The same birds from before returned this time with pine needles in their beaks. They flew ahead, dropping the needles to mark a trail. Following the green breadcrumbs, Toby marched on. The turtle, Toby, came to a stream, frozen but slippery. He could see the glow of Pinecone Clearing. He stepped carefully onto the ice too carefully, and slipped with a loud whoomp. From under the ice, a small fish tapped on the surface. You okay, turtle dude? Toby chuckled. Just a little shell-shocked. With the help of fish and a drifting log, Toby made it across, soaked, but safe. Near the clearing, Toby found a big fir tree decorated for the feast, except the star was missing. Oh no, said a squirrel. It flew off during the storm. Without the star, the forest celebration wouldn't feel complete. He opened his bag and pulled out something he'd been carrying all along, a shiny silver button from his winter coat. It wasn't fancy, but it sparkled in the light. With a bit of string and a lot of heart, the animals tied it to the top of the tree. Everyone cheered. It's perfect. As the sun dipped low, casting golden light through frosted branches, the animals gathered. There were berries and nuts, hot cocoa and snow cakes. Music played, bells rang, lanterns flickered, and in the middle of it all was Toby, glowing brighter than any Christmas light. You made it, cried the hedgehog. Not only that, added the owl, you made Christmas. That night, as snowflakes fell and laughter echoed, Toby sat beneath the tree, sipping warm pine needle tea. He didn't win any races. He didn't arrive first, but he had helped, shared, listened, and cared. And that, dear reader, is what Christmas is all about. Sometimes, the slowest journeys bring the warmest hearts. After the feast, many animals exchanged small gifts. Toby hadn't brought anything. He'd been too busy helping everyone along the way. Just then, he saw Old Owl sitting quietly beneath a snowy branch. I always bring wisdom to the forest, the owl said softly, but no one ever brings me a surprise. Toby thought for a moment, then opened the flap of his backpack. Inside was a tiny pine cone, polished smooth by his journey. He had picked it up on his very first step. "It's not much," said Toby, "but it's part of my journey, and I want to share it with you." The owl took it gently and smiled. "Wisdom is wonderful, little turtle, but kindness, that's the greatest gift." The next morning, Toby decided to walk around and enjoy the peaceful forest. That's when he noticed something strange, tracks in the snow leading away from the celebration. He followed them, winding through thickets and under arches of frost, until he found a small fox sitting alone, half hidden beneath a snow-laden tree. "Why didn't you come to the feast?" asked Toby gently. The fox sighed. "Everyone thinks I'm sneaky and sly, they never invite me." Toby's eyes widened. "That's not fair. I don't think you're sneaky. I think you're shy." With a warm smile, he offered the fox some of the leftover snow cake he had saved. "Come with me. We'll go together." The fox hesitated, then nodded slowly. For the first time in many winters, someone had seen him for who he truly was. When Toby and the fox returned, the feast had turned into a music circle. Birds chirped melodies, badgers hummed low bass notes, and even the mice had made flutes from reeds. But when Toby arrived, the music quieted. "Sing with us, Toby," called the hedgehog. Toby blushed. "Oh, I don't sing well." The owl ruffled his feathers. "Christmas isn't about being perfect, it's about joining in." So Toby opened his mouth and sang. It wasn't loud, or fast, or fancy, but it was steady, warm, true. And soon, the others quieted down and harmonized with his slow, gentle tune. From high above, it sounded like the forest itself was breathing out a carol. That night, while everyone slept curled in their cozy nests, Toby sat alone near the tree. He watched the snow fall, soft and silent. Suddenly, he heard a sound of sleigh, a jingle, a faint whoosh through the trees, and then he saw him, a large figure in red, with twinkling eyes and snow-dusted fur boots. "Santa?" Toby whispered. The figure nodded with a smile. "You didn't see me," he winked, "but I've seen you, little turtle." He handed Toby a small wooden snowflake, carved with Toby's name, for bringing Christmas to everyone, even when no one was watching. And just like that, poof, the figure disappeared in a swirl of snowflakes. Toby clutched the snowflake to his chest. He had never felt more seen, or more special. When the animals awoke, they found the clearing glowing with fresh snow and tiny footprints, some big, some small, and one set of boot prints no one could explain. Toby showed his wooden snowflake to the others, and everyone gasped in wonder. Then the fox stood up and said, "Toby showed me what Christmas really means, not decorations or gifts or speed, but care." And one by one, the animals thanked Toby. The rabbit gave him his warmest mittens. The birds gave him a song all his own. The owl gave him a feather of wisdom, and the fox gave him a ribbon made of starlight. Toby's shell was heavy with gifts, but his heart, light as a snowflake. As the sun rose over Silver Pine Forest, Toby looked up and whispered, "Next year, I'll start my Christmas journey even earlier." But everyone laughed and said, "Toby, you are Christmas."